Okay, so we're going to just go through a little bit of how to enter a table into Desmos and then use that table to form an equation and answer some questions based upon it. So we're going to use a table of values that I've given you here to sketch a quadratic function, state the function in standard form and in factored form, and then things like vertex, intercepts, axis of symmetry, domain and range. Pretty much like the whole package kind of thing. So let's get Desmos out. I have it here. And we're going to go ahead and enter a table. So plus sign, table, and now we're going to enter our values. So we got 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And for my y coordinates, I got 9, 1, 1, and 9. Okay, so we kind of have the rough shape of a parabola over here. We don't really have any information, but we're going to need to tell Desmos to do the quadratic regression from that. And again, regression just means, okay, let's take some data and let's apply the quadratic function to it and see what happens. So y sub 1, push over in our arrow keys, tilde, a x underscore 1, arrow key, that little like hat sign to make it go up into the exponent, plus bx sub 1 plus c. I'm saying sub 1, that means underscore 1. And we have our equation now. So I'm just going to go ahead and I think I can just make this a little bit larger here. I'm going to take a screenshot of that one and then I'm going to copy that down. So let's take a screenshot of this and we'll put it back into that one. So open up my tools. Let's take this out, and we can take a read of that in a second. Put that back over here. And we're also going to take our Desmos as well. So we have our graph here. I'm going to label out a couple more things on it just so that we can kind of answer some questions afterwards. X-intercept, vertex, and that's all we have. Let's go ahead and let's get this equation. Good. Or this graph. And we're good to go. Okay. So a couple things that we want to note now that we have all of this information kind of in one place now. First off, we have our equation. I wouldn't really, this is kind of in proper form. You have your A, B, and C value, but you really need to go ahead and say y equals, and then now write it in. We're not going to write the underscore ones here. We're not going to do that. That's just for Desmos to do the regression, so we don't do that in our equation. So 4x squared plus, minus 12x plus 9. And again, I'm just using my A value, my B value, and then my C value, right? Those are all there. So we have this here for us, and that's awesome. Let's go with some other things. Factored form now. Y is equal to A, x minus r, x minus s. Now, small problem. These are our roots of the equation. And as you can see, we only have one x-intercept here. So a neat little thing that we can do is that r is going to equal to s, and that's going to equal the 1.5. So we can say this is a x minus 1.5, x minus 1.5. It's the same. We need to still have them both. We can't just do one of these binomials. We still have to do both of them. But there is another way that you can put this. I'm going to sub in my value of 4 for that. And you can leave it like this, where you just square this binomial in the end. Kind of something that we did in grade 10 when we had a binomial and a binomial. It's called a perfect square. So we have that. So we can leave that as standard form over here and then factored form down there. This is standard, and of course we have factored. And now it's just to kind of list off a little, some more things of the question. So the vertex, we already had that. That's 1.5, comma 0. We have our intercepts, our x-int happens to actually be the vertex. So I'm just going to put 1.5. Our y-int, however, you can see it on our page, is 9, 0, comma 9. Axis of symmetry, x is equal to 1.5. A lot of things share that coordinate for x. And then we have our domain and range. Domain, that's going to be our real numbers, because again, we're going to assume that goes on for infinity. And then our range, since this is a minimum value, we're going to have that y is going to be greater than or equal to 1.5. Sorry, that's wrong. Is greater than or equal to 0. I was looking at the x-coordinate. I wanted to look at the y-coordinate. And that would kind of be done with this question. So a little bit of review on just graphing stuff, but then a little extra work on having a parabola that has an x-intercept as a vertex. And that would be the end of this one.